Hey guys, how are you today? Quick rant before we dive into today's chaos. As some of you might have noticed, YouTube's algorithm has decided I'm not special anymore. Shocking, I know. So now if you don't like, comment, or do a little backflip in the algorithm's honor, this video might just vanish into the void, never to be seen again. Seriously though, even a hi or "this is wild" in the comments helps way more than you think. It tells YouTube, hey, people actually like this channel. Maybe don't hide it from everyone. That can really help push my videos out to a wider audience, not just to my subscribers. So if you enjoy these stories and want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. Now grab a drink, get comfy, and enjoy the drama. You won't want to miss this one. I, 36 female, always knew my mother had a blind spot when it came to my brother, Ridge, 30 male. He could do no wrong in her eyes. He was the golden child, the one she doted on, while I was always the one expected to be understanding of his shortcomings. If he failed a class, it was because the teacher had it out for him. If he lost a job, it was because his boss was jealous. And if he cheated on his wife, well, according to Mom, men have needs, and it wasn't that big of a deal. I had learned to pick my battles with them, but this time, I couldn't just let it go. Ridge had been married to my sister-in-law, Vanisha, 26 female, for 5 years. She was a wonderful person, kind, patient, and far more forgiving than she should have been. She had given Ridge more chances than he deserved, and he threw them all away. His cheating wasn't just a one-time mistake, it was a pattern. Over the years, he had multiple affairs, each one more blatant than the last. Vanisha had found texts, emails, and even hotel receipts. And each time my mother had told her to be a good wife and work through it. The final straw came when Vanisha caught Ridge red-handed. Not just texts, not just suspicion. She walked in on him with another woman in their own home. That was it. She packed her bags and left. When I heard about the divorce, I called Vanisha to check on her. She was heartbroken. She said she should have left sooner. I agreed with her. I told her she deserved better, and she thanked me for always being supportive. I thought that was the end of it, but then Mom called me, and she was in high spirits, saying she was so relieved that Ridge was finally free. She said that Vanisha had been too demanding, and that Ridge needed to spread his wings. She claimed he was finally getting a fresh start, and she wanted to celebrate, and then she told me she wanted me to throw him a divorce party. I almost laughed, thinking she was joking, but she wasn't. She went on about how we should throw a huge party, invite all his friends, and celebrate his newfound freedom. She said it would be fun, a way to show support for family, and let Ridge know that we were on his side. I told her absolutely not. She was stunned and asked if I was joking. I told her I wasn't, and I said there was no way I was going to celebrate the fact that Ridge had destroyed his marriage with his selfishness. I reminded her that Vanisha had been nothing but kind to our family, that she had put up with so much, and that I was not going to pretend Ridge was the victim here. Mom's tone changed instantly. She accused me of betraying my own blood. She said no real sister would turn against her brother like this. She called me ungrateful and brainwashed. She asked if I even belonged in the family, if I was really her daughter, because no child of hers would side with an outsider over their own brother. I told her DNA didn't mean anything to me. That was the moment she disowned me. She said if I wasn't going to stand with my family, then I wasn't part of it. She told me not to bother coming around anymore, and that if I loved Vanisha so much, I should just go be her sister instead. I told her maybe I would. I hung up, shaking with anger. I wasn't surprised, because I had always known my mother would pick Ridge over me, but actually hearing her say it still stung. Still, I had no regrets. I wasn't going to throw away my morals for a mirage of family loyalty, and honestly, being disowned sounded like a blessing. My mother thrived on drama, and I had no doubt she would try something else. Update 1. I thought I was done with my mother and Ridge. I had made my stance clear. I wasn't supporting his ridiculous divorce party. I wasn't going to pretend his cheating was acceptable, and if that meant I was no longer part of the family, so be it. But of course, my mother couldn't let things go. A week after she disowned me, I started getting messages from relatives. Some were confused, asking if it was true that I had abandoned my family over a simple misunderstanding. Others were outright angry, calling me cruel for turning my back on my own brother when he needed support the most. I ignored most of them, but my Aunt Valerie reached out with a different tone. She said she wasn't calling to pressure me, but she had just gotten off the phone with my mother and thought I should know something. Apparently, Mom had gone on a full-blown rampage. She was telling anyone who would listen that I was disrespecting my father's memory by siding with Vanisha. She claimed that my refusal to support Rich had confirmed her worst fears that I wasn't really my father's child. I sat there stunned. I had never heard my mother say anything like this before, but Aunt Valerie told me Mom was convinced now. She was telling relatives that she always had a feeling something was off about me, that my lack of loyalty made sense because I wasn't really one of them. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. I asked Aunt Valerie if she actually believed any of this nonsense. She said, of course not. But Mom was committed to this story. She had even told Ridge, and apparently he ate it up. I couldn't believe it. If I wasn't hers and my father's child, then was she implicating herself by saying she cheated? Like, was she okay in the mind? How many brain cells did she lose planning Ridge's divorce party? My entire life, my mother had never questioned my paternity. But now, just because I wasn't falling in line like she wanted, she was implicating herself. I thanked Aunt Valerie for letting me know and hung up. Not even an hour later, my mother called. I debated letting it go to voicemail, but I picked up, bracing myself. She didn't waste any time. She said she had done some thinking and that she needed to know the truth, and she said that if I had nothing to hide, I wouldn't mind taking a DNA test. I asked her if she was serious. She said she was dead serious. She claimed she just wanted clarity, that she deserved to know the truth. I told her I wasn't entertaining her delusions. She didn't like that. She started ranting, saying it all made sense now, that she always knew something wasn't right. She said my entire personality was proof that I wasn't really part of the family. I cut her off. I told her if she wanted to live in her little fantasy world, she could do that, but I wasn't playing along. She said I was avoiding the truth, and that deep down I must know it too. I told her I wasn't wasting my time with this conversation. Then I hung up and blocked her. I was furious. It wasn't enough that she had disowned me. Now she was trying to humiliate me to turn me into an outsider. I took a deep breath, reminding myself that her opinion didn't matter. But just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, the real bombshell dropped. I got a call from Vanisha. She sounded shaken, asking if I had been following the chatter on the group. I told her no. I had been too busy dealing with my mother's nonsense. She told me I needed to check, so I did. And there it was. Ridge wasn't just a cheater. He was in serious legal trouble. I read through the messages in disbelief. Apparently, one of the women he had been seeing wasn't just some random affair partner. She was involved in a major financial fraud case, and because of their relationship, Ridge had been dragged into it. There were allegations of stolen money, shady business deals, and even potential charges against him. Apparently, Ridge had reached out to my uncle, and now he was warning everybody. My stomach dropped. I called Vanisha back, asking if she knew the full extent of this. She said she had only just found out, but it looked really bad. She said she was grateful she had left when she did, because if she had still been with Ridge, she might have been dragged into the mess too. I told her I was so sorry she had ever been tied to him, and she said she was too. Then she hesitated before telling me the part that really made my blood boil. My mother knew. She had known for weeks. She had been fully aware that Ridge wasn't just dealing with a divorce. He was potentially facing serious legal consequences, and yet she still had the audacity to try to throw him a party. It wasn't about celebrating his freedom. It was about covering up the truth. She wanted to distract from what was really going on. She thought if she spun the story just right, she could make people think Ridge was just a guy getting over a bad marriage instead of someone who might actually be in real legal trouble. I felt sick. She had gone on a rampage, downing me and spreading rumors about my DNA, all while she knew Ridge was in the middle of a scandal. If my father was alive, he would be so embarrassed. She would go to any extent to cover up for Ridge. It makes me wonder if she cheated during her marriage with my father. Vanisha sighed, saying that part of her wasn't even surprised. She had spent years watching my mother enable Ridge's behavior, making excuses for everything. I told her I wasn't surprised either, but what really got me was that now that Ridge was in actual trouble, my mother was backtracking. She wasn't bragging about Ridge's fresh start anymore. She was desperate to get ahead of this, and I was going to stay the hell away from them. Update 2. I had reached my breaking point. I wanted to stay away, but I was angry. After everything, being downed, being accused of not being my father's child, and now learning that my mother knew Ridge was knee-deep in legal trouble, there was no way I was letting her off the hook. So I called her. She answered on the second ring, her voice laced with irritation, like I was the one causing problems. She asked if I was finally ready to apologize for my behavior. I didn't waste time. I told her I wanted a straight answer. Had she cheated on my father? The line went silent. Then she scoffed, acting offended that I would even ask such a thing. She said she never said that. I wasn't letting her squirm out of this. I told her that's exactly what she had been implying when she started telling people she wasn't sure I was my father's child. She had planted that idea herself, and now that I was calling her out on it, she was suddenly backtracking. She fumbled, saying that maybe she had misspoken. I told her to stop lying. I asked her point blank, had she or had she not cheated on Dad? She panicked, and then after a long pause, she blurted out the most pathetic excuse I had ever heard in my life. She said that maybe I'd been switched at birth. I swear I almost choked on my own laughter. I told her I couldn't believe the lengths she was willing to go just to protect Ridge. She was so desperate to defend him, to cover for his disgusting behavior, that she would rather try to rewrite my entire existence than just admit she was wrong. She tried to backpedal, saying she didn't mean it that way. I cut her off. I asked her if she had any shame. Did she really not realize how pathetic she sounded? Did she really think that making herself look like a cheating wife was a better alternative than just admitting she was wrong about Ridge? She stammered, saying I was blowing things out of proportion. And I told her I wasn't the one blowing things out of proportion. She was. She was the one who had disowned her own daughter over a man facing legal trouble. She was the one who had turned this into a full-blown scandal just because I had refused to entertain Ridge's circus. She tried to turn it back on me, saying that I was being vindictive, that I loved seeing her in distress. I told her that wasn't true, but I did think she deserved to be embarrassed because, for the first time, she was feeling exactly what Vanisha had felt when she found out about Ridge's betrayal. I told her it made perfect sense now. She never felt any remorse for Vanisha because Ridge was just like her. She was dead silent. I could feel her shame through the phone. Then I decided to deliver the final nail in the coffin. I told her that if she was so concerned about my paternity, maybe she should get Ridge's tested, because at least I had my father's green eyes. I swear I had never heard her sound so horrified in my life. She started stuttering, saying I was going too far, that I had no right to say something like that. I told her I had every right. She was the one who had started this whole mess. She had been so confident in accusing me of not being Dad's child, but now that the tables were turned, she couldn't handle it. She was furious, but I could tell she was panicking too, because the truth was, she had just exposed herself. I told her I was done with her games. She had chosen Ridge over me, fine, but she wasn't going to drag me down with them. I hung up before she could say another word. Update 3. If there was one thing my mother couldn't stand, it was being publicly humiliated, and I had just destroyed her. So I did what I should have done from the start. I posted the entire recorded conversation on the same family group chat where she had once gleefully disowned me. Every single word could be heard. Her pathetic excuse about me being switched at birth, her sheer desperation to defend Ridge at the expense of her own dignity, and the absolute silence that followed when I told her that maybe Ridge's paternity should be tested instead. I didn't add a caption. I didn't need to. Within minutes, my phone was exploding with notifications. My mother must have seen it immediately because she called me back not once, but 7 times. I ignored every single one. Then she started texting, telling me I had gone too far, that I was cruel for humiliating her like this, that this was a private family matter, and I had no business putting it out for everyone to see. I let her ramble because I knew exactly what was happening. She was panicking. She thought she could control the narrative, that she could manipulate people into thinking I was the bad guy. But now everyone had heard the truth straight from her own mouth. She had no excuses left. Sure enough, the responses from our family started rolling in. Aunt Valerie was the first to comment. She said she was disgusted beyond belief. She said she knew my mother had always played favorites with Ridge, but this was another level of delusion. Uncle Robert said he was embarrassed to even be related to her. My grandmother, the only person my mother had ever truly feared, sent a voice message that sent chills down my spine. She said she never wanted to hear my mother utter my father's name again, that she had spit on his memory by pulling the stunt, and she ended the message by saying she was done with her. My mother lost it. She started sending voice notes, crying, screaming, saying she never meant it that way. She swore up and down that she wasn't implying she had cheated, that she was just grasping at straws because she was so hurt that I had sided with Vanisha, that she was just a mother trying to protect her son. I finally decided to respond. I told her she wasn't protecting Ridge. She was enabling him, and now she was suffering the consequences of standing by a man who was about to ruin her life too, because she had no idea what was coming next. Update 4. 2 months passed. 2 months of silence. 2 months of finally feeling free from all the drama, toxicity, and manipulation. I had blocked my mother everywhere. She had made her choice. She chose Ridge. She chose to defend him, cover up for him, and even humiliate me to protect him. She chose to disown me just because I stood by Vanisha instead of throwing a disgusting divorce party for a man who had ruined his own marriage. And after everything she had said, everything she had done, I refused to let her slink back into my life like nothing had ever happened. But then one random afternoon, my phone buzzed. A new number. At first, I thought it was spam. I almost ignored it. I skimmed over it though, and there it was, a text from her. "Hey sweetie, how have you been? It's been too long. I miss you." I stared at it. Was she serious? Acting like we were still close, like she hadn't called me a mistake, like she hadn't thrown me away like garbage just to protect her golden child son. I didn't respond, but the texts kept coming. She asked if I was doing okay, if I'd been eating well, if work was fine, if I had heard from any of the family. Like she was testing the waters, trying to see if she could slide back in without actually acknowledging what she had done. I deleted the messages, blocked the number, and went on with my life. But then 3 days later, I got an email. The subject line made my stomach drop. "I really need you right now, please." I clicked on it, half expecting another desperate attempt at small talk, but the second I started reading, I realized this wasn't about reconciliation. This was about survival. She was in trouble, serious trouble, and now she was running straight to the daughter she had downed. Turns out she had done a lot more than just defend Ridge's cheating. She had helped him financially for years. Loans, fake investments, shady business dealings. She had backed him at every turn, convinced he was just one lucky break away from success. She had taken out loans in her own name to cover for his debts, even refinanced her house that my father left her. She had bet everything on Ridge. And now Ridge was under investigation. And because she had signed off on some of his dealings, she was legally liable too. She was being sued. The authorities were closing in, and suddenly, the daughter she had disowned was her only hope. Her email was long, rambling, desperate. She begged me to help, to support her, to forgive and forget, because at the end of the day, we were still family. She swore she had never meant what she said about me not being her and my father's child, that she was just emotional, that she regretted everything, that she knew now she had made a mistake, that she was scared, that she needed me. She even had the nerve to say that I owed her because she was still my mother, that no matter what, I should want to protect her, that I should fix this. She didn't say sorry. She didn't take responsibility. She was just panicking. I took a deep breath and I responded, "You made your choice. Now you get to live with it." Then I blocked her for the final time. She tried reaching out through other people. She called relatives, friends, even distant family members. She told them her version of events, how I was being cold, heartless, unforgiving, how I was abandoning my own mother when she was at her lowest. She tried guilt-tripping them into convincing me to help, but it didn't work because everyone knew the truth. They knew what she had done. They had seen how she had treated me. They had heard the things she had said, and now she had no one left. For the first time, she was truly alone, and that was her choice. She had picked Ridge over me. She had chosen to throw me away, and now she could suffer with him too, because I was done for good. Update 5. Vanisha's divorce is finalized, and she dodged a massive bullet. Vanisha's divorce was official. No more court hearings, No more legal battles. No more ties to Ridge. She was free, and not just free in the emotional sense. She had been legally cleared of any responsibility for Ridge's debts and fraudulent investments. That was the biggest relief of all, because, as it turned out, Ridge's financial situation was even worse than we had imagined. And if Vanisha hadn't filed for divorce when she did, she could have been dragged down with him. Ridge's mess was a ticking time bomb for years. Ridge had been playing businessman. He had convinced Vanisha, his friends, and most importantly, our mother, that he was just one step away from a big break. That all he needed was a little investment, a little more support, and he'd finally be successful. It was all a lie. Because behind all that fake confidence, Ridge was just reckless and irresponsible. He had taken out loans in his name, then more loans in Vanisha's name. He had used their house as collateral without even telling her. And worst of all, he had started investing in things he didn't even understand. Shady business deals, risky cryptocurrency scams, illegal tax loopholes. And because he always thought he was the smartest guy in the room, he ignored every single warning sign. He truly believed he could beat the system. Instead, the system beat him. When Vanisha first filed for divorce, she thought it would just be about splitting their assets and moving on. She had no idea how much worse it was going to get. Ridge had lied to her. He had hidden debt from her. He had forged her signature on financial documents. He had even transferred some of his investments into her name, thinking that if things went south, it would be her problem instead of his. If Vanisha had stayed just a few months longer, she could have been legally tied to all of it. Thousands of dollars in debt, a ruined credit score, even potential fraud charges. But because she had filed for divorce before everything collapsed, her lawyers were able to prove that she had no knowledge of the debts Ridge accumulated. Her signature had been forged on key documents. Ridge was the one who made all the financial decisions behind her back. That meant the courts ruled in her favor. Ridge was held 100% responsible. Vanisha was completely free. No debt, no legal troubles, no obligations. She had walked away just in time. As for Ridge, he was drowning. The lawsuits against him had piled up. Creditors were chasing him down. His business partners, who were just as shady as he was, had turned on him the second things started crumbling. And now he was in serious legal trouble. At first, he tried to weasel his way out of it, blaming everyone but himself. He blamed Vanisha, saying she should have stood by him instead of leaving. He blamed the banks, claiming they tricked him into taking out loans. He blamed the government, insisting the system was rigged against him. But no matter how much he whined, the fact was Ridge had done this to himself. And now, with Vanisha legally free from his mess, the only person left holding the bag was Mom. Because she had co-signed some of his loans, because she had given him money, because she had helped him hide assets, and now she was in just as much trouble as he was. The best part was Vanisha didn't just survive, she thrived. The divorce had been painful, but it had also been the best decision of her life. From what I know, she had moved to a new city. She had found a great job. She had surrounded herself with supportive friends. And the biggest win, she had finally gotten back her maiden name. She had completely erased Ridge from her life. No more attachments, no more reminders, no more baggage. And the cherry on top was that Ridge thought Vanisha would come running back when he hit rock bottom. That she would feel sorry for him, that she would offer to help. Instead, she sent him a single text. "Good luck, you'll need it." And then she blocked his number for good. I'm planning on moving out of this city too. The further away from them, the better. But after everything, our mother had completely unraveled. She had burned every bridge. She had destroyed every relationship. She had ruined her own reputation, all because she refused to see Ridge for who he really was. And now she had no one left. She tried reaching out again. This time, she wasn't even pretending to be a loving mother. She was just begging. She needed money. She needed help. She wanted someone, anyone, to bail her out. And just like before, I told her, "You made your choice. Now you get to live with it." And this time, she finally understood, because she stopped reaching out after that. I had no guilt, no doubts. I had chosen the right side, and I had no sympathy left to give, because Vanisha and I had escaped, and that was the only closure we needed. Update 6. I had one last thing to say to my mother. She had spent years defending Ridge. She had enabled him, covered for him, fought for him, even when it meant losing everything else. And where had it gotten her? Buried in legal trouble, abandoned, facing the consequences of his actions. While Ridge, like the coward he was doing everything he could to drag her down with him. She needed to understand that there was only one way out. So I sent her a message. You need to wake up. Ridge is never going to save you. He's never going to take responsibility. He's never going to care about what happens to you. You are nothing more than a shield for him to hide behind. And the second you go down, he will find someone else to use. You have one chance left to fix this, but it means doing something you've never been willing to do. Choosing yourself over him. Expose him. Give them everything. Show them every lie, every scam, every secret he's kept. Put it all on him, because if you don't, he will put it all on you. And when that happens, don't expect him to feel guilty. Don't expect him to fight for you. He will let you take the fall without blinking. So if you want to survive this, you know what you have to do. Choose. But choose wisely. Because this time, Dad isn't coming to save you. No one is. I never expected a response and I never got one. But I knew she had read it because 1 month later, Ridge was arrested and Mom wasn't. She had made her choice, and for the first time in her life, she finally chose. Not the a-hole. OP's mom didn't just have a favorite, she turned Ridge into a protected species. Wanting a divorce party after serial cheating is already unhinged, but the second she tried to smear OP's paternity to punish OP for having morals, that's beyond toxic. The switched at birth line was pure desperation because she couldn't admit her golden child is a mess. OP didn't abandon family. OP stepped away from people who weaponize family to excuse abuse. And now let's hear community's opinion. The wildest part is how she tried to rewrite reality in real time. First, it's celebrate his freedom. Then it's you're not my real daughter. Then it's DNA test. Then it's actually you were switched at birth. Then 2 months later, it's hey, sweetie. Like she didn't just set your whole life on fire. That email wasn't an apology. It was an invoice. She wanted you to be her life raft after she jumped into the ocean holding Ridge's hand. I'm sorry, but the audacity to say you owe her because she's your mother after she publicly disowned you is insane. People like this don't want reconciliation. They want control. She didn't miss you. She missed having someone to bully into cleaning up her mess. Blocking her was the healthiest thing you did, and posting the recording was honestly the only language a family full of enablers understands. Receipts. Vanisha deserves a standing ovation for leaving when she did, and you deserve one for not letting her be isolated and gaslit. Also, your mom helped Ridge in exactly the way that destroys lives. Co-signing, refinancing, hiding assets, and pretending consequences are optional. If she hadn't finally chosen herself, she would have gone down with him. The fact that Ridge got arrested and she didn't is the closest thing to poetic justice this story could have.